Look.
Let's get it over with. Let's go, son.
Yo, and we are live, man, because right now, bro, it is S.E.T Media, and we are with you with RFK dropping out and endorsing Trump, man. Oh, man, it is going to be quite the day today, man. Let's get into it, man. This is S.E.T Media. Let's go.
Let's do it. Make sure to like the video on the way in, man.
Hello, everyone. Welcome so much for being here. I'd like to introduce everyone to bring on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
I'm sorry to keep everybody waiting. 16 months ago, in April of 2023, I launched my campaign for President of the United States. I began this journey as a Democrat, the party of my father, my uncle, the party which I pledged my own allegiance to long before I was old enough to vote. I attended my first Democratic convention at the age of 6 in 1960. And back then, the Democrats were the champions of the Constitution, of civil rights. The Democrats stood against authoritarianism, against censorship, against colonialism, imperialism, and unjust wars. We were the party of labor, of the working class. The Democrats were the party of government transparency and the champion of the environment. Our party was the bulwark against big money interests and corporate power. True to its name, it was the party of democracy. As you know, I left that party in October because it had departed so dramatically from the core values that I grew up with. It had become the party of war, censorship, corruption,
Facts.
big pharma, big tech, big ag, and big money.
And big government, as much as they want to claim that the Republicans want to enter your homes, your work establishments, and other places and social spaces that you operate in, it's kind of funny how they're actually the ones with the agenda to increase government control and influence.
Man, ain't that the worst, though?
When it abandoned democracy by canceling the primary to conceal the cognitive decline of the sitting president, I left the party to run as an independent. The mainstream of American politics and journalism derided my decision. Conventional wisdom said that it would be impossible even to get on the ballot as an independent because each state poses an insurmountable tangle of arbitrary rules for collecting signatures. I would need over 1 million signatures, something no presidential candidate in history had ever achieved. And then I'd need a team of attorneys and millions of dollars to handle all the legal challenges from the DNC. The naysayers told us that we were climbing a glass version of Mount Impossible. So the first thing I want to tell you is that we proved them wrong. We did it because beneath the radar of mainstream media organs, we inspired a massive independent political movement. More than 100,000 volunteers sprang into action, hopeful that they could reverse our nation's decline. Many worked 10-hour days, sometimes in blizzards and blazing heat. They sacrificed family time, personal commitments, and sleep month after month, energized by a shared vision of a nation healed of its divisions. They set up tables at churches and farmers' markets. They canvassed door to door.
Dedicated.
In Utah and in New Hampshire, volunteers collected signatures in snowstorms, convincing each supporter to stop in the frigid cold, to take off their gloves, and to sign legibly. During a heat wave in Nevada, I met a tall, athletic volunteer who cheerfully told me that he had lost 25
Appreciate everybody
pounds
tuning in, man.
collecting
Make sure to like the
signatures
video.
in 117-degree heat. To
Social
finance
support,
this
double
effort,
tap the
young
screen.
Americans donated their lunch money, and senior citizens gave up part of their Social Security checks. Our 50-state organization collected those millions of signatures and more. No presidential campaign in American political history has ever done that.
Bro, get a
And so I
million
want to
signatures
thank all
per
of those
state is
dedicated
crazy.
volunteers and congratulate the campaign staff who coordinated this enormous logistical feat. Your accomplishments were regarded as impossible. You carried me up that glass mountain. You pulled off a miracle. You achieved what all the pundits said could never be done. You have my deepest gratitude, and I'm never going to forget that, not just for what you did for my campaign, but for the sacrifices you made because you love our country. You showed everyone that democracy is still possible here. It continues to survive in the press and in the idealistic human energies that still thrive beneath a canvas of neglect and of official and institutional corruption. Today, I'm here to tell you that I will not allow your efforts to go to waste. I'm here to tell you that I will leverage your tremendous accomplishments to serve the ideals that we share, the ideals of peace, of prosperity, of freedom, of health, all the ideals that motivated my campaign. I'm here today to describe the path forward that you've opened with your commitment and with your hard labors. Now, in an honest system, I believe that I would have won the election. In a system like kind that my father and my uncles thrived in, a system with open debates with.
Hey, what do you think, bro? You think if we'd have gave him a fair shot, he'd have been able to, pull off an election win against Trump and Biden?
I think it was a long shot for RFK this year just because of Trump's strong supporting base. A lot of people wanted to see Trump or thought Trump should have got elected in 2020. So he had a lot of rallying support from the last election cycle. So he was up against quite the force. Does he stand a chance to be president ever? Yeah. This time, not quite. He kind of ran into the same issue Vivek kind of ran into.
Yeah.
Maybe at some point, but just not right now.
Yeah, and you're taking away from from one of the powers that we kind of won in office.
Right.
Fair primaries with regularly scheduled debate, with fair primaries, and with a truly independent media untainted
But
by
I do like
government
RFK
propaganda
policy.
and
I
censorship.
do agree with a lot of his
In a
policy, to
system
be
of
honest.
nonpartisan courts and election boards, everything would be different. After all, the polls
And if you're on him about his
consistently
voice,
showed
man,
me
like,
beating
grow up.
each of
Come
the
on
other
now. Grow up.
candidates, both in favorability and also in head-to-head matchups. But I'm sorry to say that while democracy may still be alive at the grassroots, it has become little more than a slogan for our political institutions, for our media, and for our government, and most sadly at all for me, the Democratic Party. In the name of saving democracy, the Democratic Party set itself to dismantling it, lacking confidence in its candidate, that its candidate could win in a fair election at the voting booth. The DNC waged continual legal warfare against both President Trump and myself. Each time that our volunteers turned in those towering boxes of signatures needed to get on the ballot, the DNC dragged us into court, state after state, attempting to erase their work and to subvert the will of the voters.
Appreciate
who had
everybody
signed
tuning
those
in, man.
petitions.
Make sure to like the video,
It
double tap the
deployed
screen.
DNC-aligned judges to throw me and other
down at the
candidates
top.
off the ballot and to throw President Trump in jail. It ran a sham primary that was rigged to prevent any serious challenge to President Biden. Then, when a predictably bungled debate performance precipitated the palace coup against President Biden, the same shadowy DNC operatives appointed his successor, also without an election. They installed a candidate who was so unpopular with voters that she dropped out in 2020 without winning a single delegate. My uncle and my father both relished debate. They prided themselves on their capacity to go toe-to-toe with any opponent in the battle over ideas. They would be astonished to learn of a Democratic Party presidential nominee who, like Vice President Harris, has not appeared in a single interview or an unscripted encounter with voters for 35 days. This is profoundly undemocratic.
And man, it's so funny he's saying that, because that's what me and you have been saying, along with everybody else as well. But we've been making that claim here on this channel for the past weeks. Like, where's Kamala's one-on-one interview? Where's Kamala's uncensored, unfiltered, off the hip?
Bro, where's her Fox interview?
Yeah,
like where's her Fox interview? Because if JD Vance did a CBS and Trump went in front of a whole bunch of black Democratic reporters, why can't she do something like that? Why is like it okay for her to get no scrutiny, get nobody go against her? We're all just gonna vote, and we don't know if her policies really hold up to the fire or not.
The same hostile environment Trump stepped into when he went to Chicago and spoke with those black journalists who were badgering him from the start. Where's that same scenario for Kamala been at? She ain't did nothing but rally and smile on stage.
Bruh, she ain't stepped into the fire. She been the only time she talk is off prompter and unopposed.
Come on now.
How are people to choose?
And I'm just calling it
when
how
they
it
don't
is.
know whom they are choosing? And how can this look to the rest of the world? My father and my uncle were always conscious of America's image abroad because of our nation's role as the template for democracy, a role model for democratic processes, and the leader of the free world. Instead of showing us her substance and character, the DNC and its media organs engineered a surge of popularity for Vice President Harris based upon, well, nothing. No policies, no interviews, no debates.
None.
Only smoke and mirrors and balloons in a highly
And y'all going for it.
produced Chicago circus.
Sadly
there
enough.
in Chicago.
And they know we will. That's why they do
Democratic
it.
Speakers mentioned Donald Trump 147 times just on the first day. Oh, who needs a policy when you have
I don't
Trump
think
Day?
RFK is paid.
In contrast, at the
realized
RNC convention, President
best
Biden
for
was
democracy to
mentioned
pull
only
out.
twice in 4 days. I do interviews every day. Many of you have interviewed me. Anybody who asks gets to interview me. Some days I do as many as 10.
RFK went on high level conversations, a predominantly black channel. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I do have respect for this man when it comes down to
he gets kudos for that.
Yeah, he pulls up to where most people would not pull up. Most men his color would not pull up to where he pulls up to and has that debate. It's almost the type of respect I give him and Vivek. They pull up to where they're not wanted in talks and have that like conversation.
And that's
President
all right.
Trump,
You
who
know, whether you support
actually was
Kamala,
nominated
RFK, or
and
Trump, we
won an
appreciate y'all
election,
viewing. Appreciate
also does
y'all
interviews daily.
conversing with
How
us
did
in
the
the
Democratic
chat.
Party choose a candidate that has never done
Make
an
sure to like the
interview
video.
or
Double tap the
debate
screen.
during the entire election cycle?
3 dots.
We know the answers.
Send a super chat if you
They
want
did
us to
by
read it out
weaponizing
loud.
the
And,
government
share
agencies.
your comments, ask a
They
question.
did it by abandoning democracy. They did it by suing the opposition and by disenfranchising American voters. What most alarms me isn't how the Democratic Party conducts its internal affairs or runs its candidates. What alarms me is the resort to censorship and media control and the weaponization of the federal agencies. When a U.S. president colludes with or outright coerces media companies to censor political speech, it's an attack on our most sacred right of free expression, and that's the very right upon which all of our other constitutional rights rest. President Biden mocked Vladimir Putin's 88% landslide in the Russian elections, observing that Putin and his party controlled the Russian press,
That's all I gotta
and that
say.
Putin prevented serious opponents from appearing on the ballot.
Don't
But
mistake
here in
this man's
America,
voice
the
for lack of
DNC
coaching.
also prevented
Right.
opponents from appearing on the ballot. And our television networks expose themselves
That's a
as
grower.
Democratic Party
He still
organs.
clearly articulates himself.
Over the course of more than a year, in a campaign where my poll numbers reached at times in the high 20s, the DNC-aligned mainstream media networks maintain a near perfect embargo on interviews with me. During his 10-month presidential campaign in 1992, Ross Perot gave 34 interviews on mainstream networks. In contrast, during the 16 months since I declared, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, and CNN combined gave only 2 live interviews from me. Those networks instead ran a continuous deluge of hit pieces with inaccurate, often vile, pejoratives and defamatory smears. Some of those same networks and colluded with the DNC to keep me off the debate stage. Representatives of those networks are in this room right now, and I'll just take a moment to ask you to consider the many ways that your institutions have abdicated this really sacred responsibility, the duty of a free press to safeguard democracy and to challenge always the party in power. Instead of maintaining that posture of fear, skepticism toward authority, your institutions have made themselves government mouthpieces and stenographers for the organs of power. You didn't alone cause the devolution of American democracy, but you could have prevented it. The Democratic Party's censorship of social media was even more of a naked exercise of executive power.
Whoa.
This week, a federal judge, Terry Doty, upheld my injunction against President Biden, calling the White House's censorship project, quote, the most egregious violation of the First Amendment in the history of the United States of America. Doty's previous 155-page decision details how just 37 hours after he took the oath of office, swearing to uphold the Constitution, President Biden and his White House opened up a portal and then invited the CIA, the FBI, CISA, which is a censorship agency. It's the center of the censorship industrial complex. DHS, the IRS, and other agencies to censor me and other political dissidents on social media. Even today, users who try to post my campaign videos to Facebook or YouTube get messages that this content violates community standards. 2 days after Judge Doty rendered his decision this week, Facebook was still attaching warning labels to an online petition calling on ABC to include me in the upcoming debate. They said that violates community standards, their community standards.
So he was pretty much trying to get onto that debate. And even, bro, people just talking about him trying to get onto that debate on TikTok violated community standards.
Are you serious?
Like, bro, when I posted about Madrid Macron on TikTok, I violated community standards.
Wow.
It's like, bro, when you talk about RFK wanting to debate, you're going to violate some community standards. It's like, where's the freedom of speech in that?
There is
the mainstream media
not on TikTok, trust
was
me.
once the guardian of the First Amendment and democratic principles, and it's joined this systemic attack on democracy. It also, the media justifies their censorship on the grounds of combating misinformation, but governments and oppressors.
And who's to say what this misinformation is? Like, don't you think it's kind of weird how a certain side deems anything on the other side as misinformation?
Yeah.
They view it as right-wing conspiracy.
Bro, I'm gonna be real with you. Republicans can't even say Trump got shot without the Democrats going, oh, that was staged. I'm like come on, dog. If that happened to Biden, then what would y'all say?
Right.
If that happened to Kamala, then
what the hell would y'all say?
And if we just told y'all,
y'all crazy, y'all conspiracy theorists, tinfoil hat wearing mugs.
Can you imagine how upset these people would be, bro? Especially black women.
Don't censor lies. They don't fear lies.
Of course, yeah.
They fear the truth.
Of course we
and
do.
that's what they censor.
We do.
Well,
until you talk about them boys.
I was about to say, like, if you get to a certain status as well, too. Yeah, you got freedom of speech when nobody's listening.
For me, it's all part of a journey, and it's a journey that I signed up with. But I need to make these observations because I think they're critical for us doing the thing that we need to do as citizens in a democracy to assess where we are in this country and what our democracy still looks like, and the assumptions about U.S. leadership around the globe. And are we living up? Are we really still a role model for democracy in this country? Or have we made it, a kind of a joke? And here's the good news. While mainstream outlets denied me a critical platform, they didn't shut down my ideas, which have especially flourished among young voters and independent voters.
Yeah, that's facts.
Thanks to the alternative media. Many months ago, I promised the American people that I would withdraw from the race if I became a spoiler. A spoiler is someone who altered the outcome of the election but had no chance of winning. In my heart, I no longer believe that I have a realistic path to electoral victory in the face of this relentless, systematic censorship and media control. So I cannot in good conscience ask my staff and volunteers
the 3 dots in the upper
to
right
keep
hand
working
corner.
their long hours or ask my donors to keep giving when I cannot honestly tell them
Send a
that I
super
have
chat
a
to
real
have your
path.
questions and comments read out loud, man. Don't worry, we got you.
Furthermore, our polling consistently showed that by a state on the ballot, in the battleground states, I would likely hand the election over to the Democrats, with whom I disagree on the most existential issues: censorship, war, and chronic disease. Oh, I want everyone to know that I am not terminating my campaign. I am simply suspending it and not ending it. My name will
battleground
remain on
states
the ballot in most
How
states.
old is RFK?
If you live in a blue state, you can vote for me without harming or helping President Trump.
That boy's 70 years old.
Or Vice President
I'm gonna
Harris.
be real with you. Yeah, he's 70 years old. He can run
He's
again
up
in
there.
4 years, be 74. Hey, if Trump could run at 78 and we have Biden up there at 82, I better not hear no complaints from you.
Kamala's no spring chicken. She's 60 years old as well.
Oh, God. So I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, he could step up and definitely be president the next 4 years. So I could see him saying, oh, yeah, I'm suspending for now.
Walls is 70 as well, isn't he?
Yeah. For all y'all don't want to call out people's age and all that.
In red states, the same will apply. I encourage you to vote for me.
Walls
And
is
if
60.
enough of you do
My
vote
bad.
for me, and neither of the major party candidates win 270 votes, which is quite possible. In fact, today our polling shows them tying at 269 to 269. And I could conceivably still end up in the White House in a contingent election. But in about 10 battleground states where my presence would be a spoiler, I'm going to remove my name. And I've already started that process and urge voters not to vote for me. It's with a sense of victory and not defeat that I'm suspending my campaign activities. Not only did we do the impossible by collecting 1 million signatures, we changed the national political conversation forever. Chronic disease, free speech, government corruption, breaking our addiction to war have moved to the center of politics. I can say to all who have worked so hard in the last year and a half, thank you for a job well done. 3 great causes drove me to enter this race in the first place, primarily. And these are the principal causes that persuaded me to leave the Democratic Party and run as an independent. And now to throw my support to President Trump. The causes were free speech, a war in Ukraine, and the war on our children. I've already described some.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie. That's the reason why a lot of people align with Trump and RFK was, if one, he don't believe in censoring people. 2, he's trying to get this war in Ukraine tied up so we can low-key go back to being normal out there in in Europe. And 3, we're tired of everybody coming after our kids with I guess the poisonous medication, the poisonous food, and the LGBTQ ideology. We're tired of that. We really don't want that. Y'all can have that.
Some of my
What's
personal
hold on, pause real
experiences
quick.
and struggles.
What's RFK's stance on Israel-Palestine?
But He got some of them boys in his family, so we can't really say.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
The plot thickens.
Mm-hmm.
With the government's censorship industrial complex. I want to say a word about the Ukraine war. The military industrial complex has provided us with a familiar comic book justification like they do on every war.
Yes, we
And
are.
this one is a noble effort to stop a supervillain, Vladimir Putin, from invading the Ukraine and then to thwart his Hitler-like march across Europe. In fact, tiny Ukraine is a proxy in a geopolitical struggle initiated by the ambitions of the U.S. neocons for American global hegemony. I'm not excusing Putin for invading Ukraine. He had other options. But the war is Russia's predictable response to the reckless neocon project of extending NATO to encircle Russia, a hostile act.
Yeah,
The
honestly,
credulous
it was.
media rarely explained to
It incited
Americans
this
that
whole-
we unilaterally walked away from
this
two
whole fight,
intermediate
this whole
nuclear
war.
weapons
Yeah, and if you really don't want to, like, I'm just gonna say this like off the rip. We low-key crossed Russia, and that's the whole reason why we're in this Ukraine war. We told them that we were not gonna get Ukraine involved in NATO. We told them that. We promised them that. And then we go behind their backs and try to get Ukraine in NATO. And let's be real, he stepped and he did what he did, and we couldn't even get mad at it. Well, I'll be real with you. If you get mad at that, you kind of being petty.
treaties with Russia, and then put nuclear-ready Aegis missile systems in Romania and Poland. This is a hostile act. And that the Biden White House repeatedly spurned Russia's offer to settle this war peacefully. The Ukraine war began in 2014 when U.S. agencies overthrew the democratically elected government of Ukraine and installed a hand-picked pro-Western government that launched this deadly civil war against ethnic Russians in Ukraine. In 2019, America walked away from a peace treaty, the Minsk Agreement, that had been negotiated between Russia and Ukraine by European nations. And then in April of 2022, we wanted the war. In April of 2022, President Biden sent Boris Johnson to Ukraine to force President Zelensky to tear up a peace agreement that he and the Russians had already signed, and the Russians were withdrawing troops from Kiev and Donbass and Lugansk. And that peace agreement would have brought peace to the region and would have allowed Donbass and Lugansk to remain part of Ukraine. President Biden stated that month that his objective in the war was regime change.
Bro, they were ostracized from NATO. Like, Putin had been trying to get in NATO for some time being,
Man.
and hadn't been able to join because they had literally made it to where this man couldn't join, and then infringed upon his country's territory by extending NATO's territory to Ukraine.
But all right, man, let's shout out to our sponsors, man. Because are you looking to help the next generation in understanding and engaging in the Bible? The Kingstone Bible is the most complete graphic adaptation of the Bible ever done. It is the perfect product to helping young adults read and dive into and interact with the Bible. This graphic Bible helps young adults understand the historical timelines of the Bible and learn about both well-known and lesser-known characters and Orthodox Christian teachings. Top comic artists from Kingstone Comics have created a stunning 2,000-page plus graphic novel to capture the whole Bible from Genesis to Revelations. The entire Old Testament and New Testament is available either as a hardcover trilogy or in 6 softcover volumes. With the Kingstone Bible, young adults can read scripture from cover to cover and many times retain the content longer than traditional texts. Find this and more exciting products at KingstoneComics.com. Once again, KingstoneComics.com. We appreciate the support and appreciate Kingstone Comics for sponsoring the show.
Yes, sir. WAD.
In Russia. His Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin simultaneously explained that America's purpose in the war was to exhaust the Russian army to degrade its capacity to fight anywhere else in the world. These objectives, of course, have nothing to do with what they were telling Americans about protecting Ukraine's sovereignty. Ukraine is a victim in this war, and it's a victim of the West. Since then, of Russia and both Russia and the West. Since then, since tearing up that agreement, forcing Zelensky to tear up the agreement, we've squandered the flower of Ukrainian youth, as many as 600,000 Ukrainian kids, and over 100,000 Russian kids, all of whom we should be mourning, have died, and the Ukraine's infrastructure is destroyed. The war has been a disaster for our country as well. We squandered nearly $200 billion already, and these are badly needed dollars in our communities, suffering communities all over our country.
He ain't lying.
The Nord Stream pipeline sabotage and the sanctions have destroyed Europe's industrial base, which formed the bulwark of U.S. national security. A strong Germany with a strong industry is a much, much stronger deterrent to Russia, and a Germany that is deindustrialized and turned into just an extension of U.S. military base. We've pushed Russia into a disastrous alliance with China and Iran. We're closer to the brink of nuclear exchange than at any time since 1962. And the neocons in the White House don't seem to care at all. Our moral authority and our economy are in shambles.
Ain't making sense.
And the war gave rise to the emergence of BRICS, which now threatens to replace the dollar as the global reserve currency. This is a first-class calamity for our country. Judging by her bellicose, belligerent speech.
And for those of y'all that know economics, look, our dollar is called the petrodollar. Now, that means our dollar is connected to a resource, which is really not anything. I'm going to be real with you. So, really, everybody got to pay with oil with the dollar. So, if we lose that global sitting, I ain't going to lie, the economic crash is going to be something like we never seen before.
Which is what we're trending towards, to be honest. Like, foundation of BRICS, we got other alternative centralized banking and money funding schemes.
Bro, this is why Trump was talking about Bitcoin. There's a reason, because I'm gonna be real with you, I don't even think Trump think he can save the dollar at this point. Even Trump's looking at the dollar like, I think they might have effed it up too much. They done printed all this money for Ukraine and Israel, and we might not be able to save the dollar. So I'm gonna be real with you. Hey, start investing in crypto. This is not financial advice, though.
Last night in Chicago, we can assume that President Harris will be an enthusiastic advocate for this and other neocon military adventures. And President Trump says that he will reopen negotiations with President Putin and end the war overnight as soon as he becomes president. This alone would justify my support for his campaign. Last summer, it looked like no candidate was willing to negotiate a quick end to the Ukraine war, to tackle chronic disease epidemic.
Appreciate everybody tuning in the chat, man.
Our constitutional freedoms, to clean corporate influence out of our government.
Make sure to like the video, double tap the screen.
And their agenda of endless military adventurism. But now one of the two candidates has adopted these issues.
Let's keep the conversation going in the chat.
To the point where he has asked to enlist me in his administration. I'm speaking, of course, of Donald Trump.
Super chat your question and comments to be read out loud.
Less than 2 hours after President Trump narrowly escaped assassination, Callie Means called me on my cell phone. I was then in Las Vegas. Callie is arguably the leading advocate for food safety, for soil regeneration, and for ending the chronic disease epidemic that is destroying America's health and ruining our economy. Callie has exposed the insidious corruption at the FDA, the NIH, the HHS, and the USDA that has caused the epidemic. Callie had been working on and off for my campaign, advising me on those subjects since the beginning. And those subjects have been my primary focus for the last 20 years. I was delighted when Callie told me that day that he had also been advising President Trump. He told me President Trump was anxious to talk to me about chronic disease and other subjects, and to explore avenues of cooperation. He asked if I would take a call from the president. President Trump telephoned me a few minutes later, and I met with him the following day.
Okay.
A few weeks later, I met again with President Trump and his family members and close advisors in Florida. In a series of long, intense discussions, I was surprised to discover that we are aligned on many key issues.
I'm weak.
In those meetings, he suggested that we join forces as a unity party. We talked about Abraham Lincoln's team of rivals. That arrangement would allow us to disagree publicly and privately, and fiercely if need be, on issues over which we differ, while working together on the existential issues upon which we are in concordance. I was a ferocious critic of many of the policies during his first administration, and there are still issues and approaches upon which we continue to have very serious differences. But we are aligned with each other on other key issues, like ending the forever wars, ending the childhood disease epidemics, securing the border, protecting freedom of speech, unraveling the corporate capture of our regulatory agencies, getting the U.S. intelligence agencies out of the business of propagandizing and censoring and surveilling Americans and interfering with our elections. Following my first discussion with President Trump, I tried unsuccessfully to open similar discussions with Vice President Harris. Vice President Harris declined to meet or even to speak with me. Suspending my candidacy is a heart-rending decision for me, but I'm convinced that it's the best hope for ending the Ukraine war and ending the chronic disease epidemic that is eroding our nation's vitality from the inside.
Damn.
And for finally protecting free speech. I feel a moral obligation to use this opportunity to save millions of American children, above all things. In case some of you don't realize how dire the condition is, our children's health and chronic disease in general, I would urge you to view Dr. Carlson's recent interview with Callie Means and his sister, Dr. Casey Means, who is the top graduate of her class at Stanford Medical School. This is an issue that affects all of us far more directly and urgently than any culture war issue. And all the other issues that we obsess on and that are tearing apart our country. This is the most important issue. Therefore, it has the potential to bring us together. So let me share a little bit about why I believe it's so urgent. Today, 2/3, we spend more on healthcare than any country on earth, twice what they pay in Europe. And yet we have the worst health outcomes of any nation in the world. We're about 79th in health outcomes behind Costa Rica and Nicaragua and Mongolia and other countries. Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. And during the COVID epidemic.
Bro, and it's all the processed food you eat. Like, man, look at the food you eating right now. Look at the ingredients and look at the packages. These are chemicals that they're feeding us. Literal poisons that low-key cause inflammation. And if you eat it long enough, cancer. Yeah. And then they make a buck off you for the rest of your life off chemotherapy and whatever else medicines they want to plug into you. So, bro, watch yourself with these processed foods. I'm telling you, they're coming for you. Don't trust that FDA, man.
We have the highest body count of any country in the world. We had 16% of the COVID deaths, and we only have 4.2% of the world's population. And CDC says that's because we are the sickest people on earth. We have the highest chronic disease rate on earth. And the average American who died from COVID had 3.8 chronic diseases. So these were people who had immune system collapse, who had mitochondrial dysfunction. And no other country has anything like this.
Allegedly, supposedly.
2/3 of American adults and children suffer from chronic health issues. 50 years ago, that number was less than 1%. So we've gone from 1% to 66%. In America, 74% of Americans are now overweight or obese.
Ooh.
And 50% of our children. 120 years ago, when somebody was
Hey, yo, man. Hey, don't add to the problem. Make sure you get in the gym and get fit today, man. We need to fix that in America. I promise you. We do. or we're screwed.
Obese, they were sent to the circus. There were case reports done about them. Obesity was almost unknown. In Japan, the childhood obesity rate is 3% compared to 50% here. Half of Americans have pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes. When my uncle was president, I was a boy. Juvenile diabetes was effectively non-existent. A typical pediatrician would see one case of diabetes during his entire career, a 40 or 50-year career. Today, 1 out of every 3 kids who walks through his office door is diabetic or pre-diabetic. And the mitochondrial disorder that causes diabetes, also causing Alzheimer's, which is now classified as diabetes, and it's costing this country more than our military budget every year. There's been an explosion of neurological illnesses that I never saw as a kid: ADD, ADHD, speech delay, language delay, Tourette's syndrome, narcolepsy, ASD, Asperger's, autism. In the year 2000, the autism rate was 1 in 1,500. Now autism rates in kids are 1 in 36, according to CDC nationally. Nobody's talking about this. 1 in every 22 kids in California has autism. And this is a crisis that 77% of our kids are too disabled to serve in the United States military. What is happening to our country? And why isn't this in the headlines every single day? There's nobody else in the world that is experiencing this. This is only happening in America.
All right, make sure to super chat your question and comments to be read out loud. If you just want to make fun, go ahead and send that in. Don't worry, we'll give you your little time. And if you want to give us some information, go ahead and send that in. We appreciate the support.
About 18%, and by the way, there has been no change in diagnosis, which the industry sometimes like to say. There has been no change in screening. This is a change in incidence. In my generation, 70-year-old men, the autism rates are about 1 in 10,000. In my kids' generation, 1 in 34. I'll repeat, in California, 1 in 22. Why are we letting this happen? Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? These are the most precious assets that we have in this country.
Make sure to like the video, man. Appreciate everybody tuning in.
About 18% of American teens now have fatty liver disease. That's like 1 out of every 5. That disease, when I was a kid, only affected late-stage alcoholics who were elderly. Cancer rates are skyrocketing in the young and the old. Young adult.
Hey, man, I relate the cancer to the food, man. You gotta watch that food.
The food, the environment.
Man, that phosphate, man. Look at the back of that. Look at them ingredients. Look at the ingredients.
Cancers are up 79%.
Carcinogens right in
1
there.
in 4 American women is on antidepressant medication. 40% of teens have a mental health diagnosis. And 15% of high schoolers are on Adderall, and 500,000 children on SSRIs. Bruh. So what's causing this suffering?
That's wild.
I'll name 2 culprits. The first and the worst is ultra-processed food. About 70% of American children's diet is ultra-processed. That means industrial manufactured in a factory. These foods consist primarily of processed sugar, ultra-processed grains, and seed oils. Laboratory scientists who many of them formerly worked for the cigarette industry, which purchased all the big food companies in the 1970s and 80s, deployed thousands of scientists to figure out new chemicals to make the food more addictive. And these ingredients didn't exist 100 years ago. Humans aren't biologically adapted to eat them.
I'd venture to
Hundreds
guess.
of these chemicals are now banned in Europe, but ubiquitous in American processed foods. The second culprit is toxic chemicals in our food, our medicine, and our environment. Pesticides, food additives, pharmaceutical drugs, and toxic waste permeate every cell of our bodies. This assault on our children's cells and hormones is unrelenting.
Yep.
To name just one problem, many of these chemicals increase estrogen because young children are ingesting so
RFK
many
is
of
a
these
dim,
hormone
but
disruptors.
he's always been pretty
America's
based on
puberty
these
rate
topics.
is now occurring
cooking
at age 10 to 13, which is
I agree with a lot of his policies,
But
especially
I'm
when it comes
sorry,
to these
but-
corporate greed
Bro,
and the shit they put in our food.
He don't sound like a Dem.
Nah,
Bro.
he really doesn't.
Bro, all the them bend the knees to the corporation. It don't matter what corporation they are. As long as they can bend the knee and get money to them, the Dems is doing it.
He's talking about attacking them head on if he
Bro,
were to be in office.
He's talking about going against the food company. He's talking about going against big
Pharmaceuticals.
pharma, bro.
Big tech.
This man is ready to rumble for America, bro. I don't sound like a Democrat to me.
Low key, I was behind a lot of his policy.
Me
Him
too.
and Vivek had support from a good populace of people. But like I said, just it wasn't their time.
But he can still hop in there with Trump, hopefully. Attorney General,
earlier
hopefully.
than girls were reaching puberty in 1900. Our country has the earliest puberty rates of any continent on the earth. And no, this isn't because of better nutrition. This is not normal. Breast cancer is also estrogen driven, and it now strikes 1 in 8 women. We are mass poisoning all of our children and our adults.
Damn.
Considering the grievous human cost of this tragic epidemic of chronic disease, it seems almost crass to mention the damage it does to our economy. But I'll say, it is crippling the nation's finances.
Well, they all
My
do.
uncle was
They all
president of
do.
our country has spent
Yeah, I
$0
can be fair about
on
that.
chronic
They all do.
disease. Today, government health care spending is almost all for chronic disease. And it's double the military budget. And it is the fastest budget growing item in the federal budget.
That is true.
Chronic disease costs more to the economy as a whole, costs at least $4 trillion, 5 times our military budget. And that's a 20% drag on everything we do and everything we aspire to. Poor and minority communities suffer disproportionately. People who worry about DEI or about bigotry of any kind, this dwarfs anything. We are poisoning the poor. We are systematically poisoning minorities across this country. Industry lobbyists have made sure that most of the food stamp lunch program, about 70% of food stamps and about 70 or 77% of school lunches are processed foods. There's no vegetables. There's nothing that you would want to eat. We are just poisoning the poor citizens, and that's why they have.
Nah, I ain't gonna lie though. That school lunch is atrocious.
Yeah.
I seen when some of these kids
Abhorrent.
I'm like, this is it? Like, that's all? Bro, if you don't see what they feeding these white kids
jail
in these
food
private
almost.
schools, man, they feeding them good. But if you see what they feed these kids in these these public schools. I'm about to say prison schools, but they might as well be
That's
public
what the
schools.
food looks like. That's what it
Yeah.
resembles.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie. That stuff is not nutritious. There's no way you can sell me on it.
Chronic disease.
There's no way that has
burden of
nutrition.
any demographic in our country and the highest
your
in
kids.
the world. The same food
Vegetables
industry
and
lobbied to
fruits.
make sure that nearly all agricultural subsidies
Bro, you could drink
go
the
to
water,
commodity
you could trust
crops
the
that
meat.
are the feedstock of processed food industry. These policies are destroying small farms and they're destroying our soils. We give about, I think, 8 times as much in subsidies to tobacco than we do to fruits and vegetables. It makes no sense. If we want a healthy country, the good news is that we can change all this. We can change it very, very quickly. America can get healthy again. To do that, we need to do 3 things. First, we need to root out the corruption in our health agencies. Second, we need to change incentives in our healthcare system. And third, we need to inspire Americans to get healthy again. 80% of NIH grants go to people who have conflicts of interest. These are the people.
Yeah, we need to lose some weight. We need to start eating our vegetable and fruits again that are not tampered with GMOs and all types of insecticide or whatever sprays they put on there to keep the bugs away. Whatever preservatives they want to put on there so it has a longer shelf life. Yeah, we need to free ourselves from this government that is low-key trying to poison us. Allegedly.
Well, virtually everybody who says,
You just
Joe
can't
Biden,
condemn the government nowadays,
just appointed
even if they are
a
guilty.
new panel to NIH to decide the food recommendations. And they're all people who are from the industry. They're all people who are from the processed food companies. They're deciding what Americans, here is healthy. And the recommendations on the food pyramid and what goes to our school lunch programs, what go to the program, the Swiss program, the food stamp programs. They're all corrupted and conflicted individuals. These agencies, the FDA, USDA, and CDC, all of them are controlled by giant for-profit corporations. 75% of the FDA's funding doesn't come from taxpayer, it comes from pharma. And pharma executives and consultants and lobbyists.
Yeah, but it's also even scarier too. In our schools, in these colleges, bro, most of the profits don't come from the students, don't come from tuition. It come from donors. And I'll tell you the biggest one. His name is George Soros.
Ooh.
Cycle in and out of these agencies with President Trump's backing. I'm going to change that. We're going to staff these agencies with honest scientists.
Same thing with the colleges.
And doctors who are free from industry funding. We're going to make sure the decisions of consumers,
Sending your kids off to
doctors,
college
and
just to be
patients are
indoctrinated.
informed by unbiased science. A sick child is the best thing for the pharmaceutical industry. When American children or adults get sick with a chronic condition, they're put on medication for their entire life. Imagine what will happen when Medicare starts paying for Ozempic, which costs $1,500 a month, and it's being recommended for children as young as 6, all for a condition, obesity, that is completely preventable and barely even existed 100 years ago. And 74% of Americans are obese. The cost, if all of them took their Ozempic prescription, is $3 trillion a year. This is a drug that is made by Novo Nordisk, the biggest company in Europe. It's a Danish company, and the Danish government does not recommend it. It recommends change in diet to treat obesity and exercise. And in our country, the recommendation now is for Ozempic to children at age 6.
Ozempic? That's what they really
Novo
do?
Nordisk is the biggest company in Europe, and virtually its entire value is based upon its projections of what it's going to sell, of the Ozempic it's going to sell to America. And we have the
Ozempic
food.
is crazy.
Bro. I first heard of celebrities using it, like Kim Kardashian and all that. Then I heard diabetics using it.
It's a diabetic drug.
Yeah, it's so crazy, bro. The mug like $500 a box if you look it up.
Right.
So yeah,
You're supposed to have a prescription for it. So the fact that celebrities are using it recreationally for weight loss is wild.
wow. That mean they're paying
Yeah.
$500.
Black market to some dealer, and he's pulling up with the Ozempic shot.
Man, oh my God.
Food lobbyists have a bill in front of Congress today that is backed by the White House.
Well, they gonna
backed
make
by
it for children.
Vice President Harris and President Biden.
Sex change ain't for children either, but look what they did with that.
$3 trillion cost that is going to bankrupt our country. For a fraction of that amount, we could buy organic food for every American family, 3 meals a day, and eliminate diabetes altogether. We're going to bring healthy food back
Yeah,
to
I
school
already know.
lunches.
That insurance ain't there. Woo.
We're going to stop subsidizing the worst foods with our agricultural subsidies. We're going to get toxic chemicals out of our food. We're going to reform the entire food system. And for that, we need new leadership in Washington. Because unfortunately, both the Democrats and the Republican parties are in cahoots with the big food producers, Big Pharma and Big Ag, which are among the DNC's major donors. Vice President Harris has expressed no interest in addressing this issue. 4 more years of Democratic rule will complete the consolidation of corporate and neocon power. And our children will be the ones who suffer most. I got involved with chronic disease 20 years ago, not because I chose to or wanted to. It was essentially thrust upon me. It was an issue that should have been central to the environmental movement. I was a central leader at that time. But it was widely ignored by all the institutions, including the NGOs, who should have been protecting our kids against toxins. It was an orphaned issue, and I had a weakness for orphans. I watched generations of children get sicker and sicker. I had 11 siblings, and I had 7 kids myself.
Bro, y'all are
I was conscious of what
hilarious.
was happening in their
Gotta love them,
classrooms
bro.
and to their friends.
You gotta
And I
love the
watched
chat,
these
man. I love
sick
y'all
kids,
guys,
these
man.
damaged
Y'all
kids.
lit.
We claim no political
that generation
affiliation on this
almost-
channel, man. We've said it multiple times. We cover these topics with neutrality, and we just bring y'all the facts. We bring y'all our perspective, and we share our thoughts and our views. Some align with the left, some align with the right. We've said it here on this channel multiple times. So for y'all to think that we're just these Trump fanboys or we're MAGA, it is wild. We've never, not once, associated ourselves directly with the MAGA or right or Republican movement.
Now, and let's keep it a buck. Yes, I'm voting for Trump. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm voting for Trump. But
Bro,
it's
that's your
only
right. That's your
because-
right to do so.
Yeah, but it's only because, well, his policies align with, well, how I want to see America, how it would benefit me and my family.
Better than Kamala did.
Yeah, because Kamala gonna send everybody into ruin, damn near everybody, damn near. If you ain't a hustler, you gonna die. But Trump, if you a hustler, it's gonna be at least a little bit easier for you. And if you're not a hustler, at least you can manage. It like, come on now. Do you want to live in a good economy or a bad economy? Do you want to live in an economy that has
A
a strong
prosperous
dollar?
economy.
Yeah, do you want a strong dollar?
A thriving
weak dollar?
economy. Remember how, just kind of think back to a few years ago when COVID was going on and, you know, we were locked up in our houses and gas was cheap, groceries was affordable, and rent wasn't outrageous. God damn, don't y'all just miss those times?
Bro, they're raising rent now. Bro, they had to think about it. The economy's so bad, they had to raise rent, and the government is now trying to step in to stop them from raising rent. It's like, who are they to stop them from raising
Rent gouging.
when they done messed up the economy? It's so crazy. Instead of fixing the economy, you rather tell people what they're allowed to do in their business, which is what? Authoritarian as hell. Just fix the economy. We can have a better free market. Then they want to charge so much.
All
I
of
ain't
them
mad at the
are
companies.
damaged.
I'm mad at the government.
And nobody in power seemed to care or to even notice. For 19 years, I prayed every
Make sure to like the
morning
video, man. Appreciate
that
everybody
God
tuning in. I don't
would
care
put
what
me
side you
in a
on.
position
Go ahead and hit that like
to
button.
end this calamity. The chronic
Double tap the
disease
screen.
crisis was one of the primary
Send the
reasons
super
for my
chat,
running
man.
for
From the
president.
comments read, you just
Along
feeling the
with ending
content, man. We
censorship in the
appreciate the
Ukraine
support.
war. It's the reason I've made the heart-wrenching decision to suspend my campaign and to support President Trump. This decision is agonizing for me because of the difficulties it causes my wife and my children and my friends. But I have the certainty that this is what I've meant to do. And that certainty gives me internal peace, even in storms. If I'm given the chance to fix the chronic disease crisis and reform our food production, I promise that within 2 years, we will watch chronic disease burden lift dramatically. We will make Americans healthy again. Within 4 years, America will be a healthy country. We will be stronger, more resilient.
Hey, Key,
I'm down to see it.
no more fat women?
Bro.
No
you know-
more fat women. Hey, no more fat women, bro.
Bro, do you know how much better of a
4
country
years.
we'd be? How much better off as a people?
Give it
The
4
image
years.
of Americans just being fit.
Give it 4 years.
Oh, man.
Oh man, no more fat.
I think that raises our stock in value. I think that raises our
More
stock in value
optimistic
globally.
and happier. I won't
Not only
fail
are
in
they
doing
strong and
this.
dominant,
Ultimately,
world
the
powerful,
future,
all they niggas
however it
fit and all
happens,
they
is in
women
God's
is
hands.
shapely.
In the hands of the American voters
Oh,
and those of President Trump.
No more fat women.
If President
my
Trump is
God.
elected and
Let's do
honors
it.
his
Let's do it.
word,
I'm RFK. I'm Team
the
RFK
vast
now.
burden of chronic disease that now demoralizes and bankrupts the country.
Almost brings tears to my
disappear.
eyes. We gotta deal with these fat women.
This is a
bro.
spiritual journey for me. I
These
reached that
heavy
decision
assholes
through
taking up
deep
2
prayer,
seats. Key, we ain't gotta
No,
deal with them no
fuck
more.
that.
logic, and I asked myself,
About that.
what choices
Thank God.
must I make
Thank you. Thank you.
to maximize my chances to save America's children and restore national health? I felt that if I refused this opportunity, I would not be able to look myself in the mirror, knowing that I could have saved lives of countless children and reversed this country's
House
chronic disease epidemic.
niggas, grifters.
I'm 70 years old. I may have a decade to
Damn.
be effective. I can't imagine that
inbreds.
President Harris would allow me or anyone to solve these dire problems. After 8 years of President Harris, any opportunity for me to fix the problem will be out of my reach forever. President Trump has told me that he wants this to be his legacy. I'm choosing to believe that this time he will follow through. His son, his biggest donors, his closest friends, and all support this objective.
Oh, man.
My joining the Trump campaign will be a difficult sacrifice for my wife and children, but worthwhile if there's even a small chance of saving these kids.
It's too late.
Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country
Yeah.
And I plan on having
and our
10 more.
children is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other. That's why I launched my campaign to unify America. My dad and uncle made such an enduring mark on the character of our nation, not so much because of any particular policies that they promoted, but because they were able to inspire profound love for
Make sure
our
I like the
country
video, man. Appreciate
and to
everybody tuning in.
fortify our sense of ourselves as a national community
Of course.
held together by ideals. They were able to put their love into the intentions and hearts of ordinary Americans and to unify a national populist movement of Americans, blacks and whites, Hispanics, urban and rural Americans. They inspired affection and love and high hopes and a culture of kindness that continue to radiate among Americans from their memory. That's the spirit on which I ran my campaign and that I intend to bring into the campaign of President Trump.
Damn.
Instead of vitriol and polarization, I will appeal to the values that unite us. The goals that we could achieve if only
He's passionate about
Yeah,
this.
he's passionate.
The most unifying
That boy
theme for
passionate,
all
passionate.
Americans
I
is
respect
that we all love our children. If we all unite around that issue now, we can finally give them the protection, the health, and the future that they deserve. Thank you all very much.
That just kind of speaks to who RFK is and, you know, how invested he was in this presidential run. It wasn't a joke.
Right.
He wasn't trying to be a detractor. He had real intentions of being our next president.
Yeah, he wasn't no asset to be put in to disturb Trump's campaign. Man. Ain't
wasn't a
that
plant.
crazy?
You know, my
Yes.
nigga,
But shout out, though. No more fat chicks.
no more fat chicks.
Ain't no more fat
They
chicks, bro.
gone.
Hey, RFK Jr., bro. No more fat chicks.
They abolished thanks to RFK.
Man, I love it. And, bro, it's so funny, though, because for y'all that was talking in chat, you know, we had to let our man RFK cook, man. He deserves it. He stepped out the way for the greater good. We got to go ahead and give it to him. Now, but I ain't going to lie. That would have been interesting to have a three-way election and him actually being a viable option. I mean, to the point where, like, we're talking about 100% America, right? And it was really going three-way. Like, each one of them had at least, like, I don't know, like 30 or something crazy like that. Like, man, it'd have been a crazy-ass election. I ain't even gonna
Nah, it
lie.
would have been wild. I mean, imagine a three-way tie. How would that even get solved?
He did say that, though. He's like, we could have probably forced a tie. And I'm like, I don't know about that one, G. That's a long stretch, but I love the hope. I like how my man stayed hopeful. I'm like, you may sound a little crazy at a certain point, but hey, who knows what bro could pull off?
It was respectable,
That's what I'm saying. It's
admirable. You know,
respectable. You gotta love it.
well, ultimately, him and his campaign realized it was the best move to go ahead and pull out. And again, he's staying in blue states, but the battleground states, he's retracting his name from the ballot. So,
Man.
it's a smart move on his part. And he's also endorsed Trump. So, again, we claim no political affiliation here on this channel, man. So, for those of y'all in the chat who think we Trumpers or we just right-wing, far-right, I don't know. Call us what you want, whatever you may. But, you know, we just try and bring y'all a a neutral perspective on these
Key,
issues.
I'm about to get real far right on them, okay?
Shit, fuck it. Go ahead,
I'm
Sid.
voting for Trump, man, because you ain't going to take my steak and you ain't going to take my trucks, man. You ain't going to take my guns either. Yeah, that's how far right I'm going right now. You ain't taking none of that. Trump 2024.
Shit.
All right, now y'all can be angry.
It's a Seth's point, like funny is the shit he just said is, man, like, some of y'all might love Trump, some of y'all might love Kamala. It don't matter, man. What's important is we come in here, we had these conversations, we had this discourse, you know, we find common ground where there is some, and we agree to disagree on the other points. So,
but in all honesty, do you think I trust Trump 100%? Hell no. Hell no, I really don't.
yeah.
But when I'm hearing these economic policies and I've seen Trump in the past, think about it. He has 4 years I could look at and go off of. You cannot deny that. So now think about this logically. I'm thinking he's just going to finish what he started. He has some good things going with the oil. And let's be real. If the border can be fixed, at least we got somebody on it instead of a woman that we put on it who didn't do anything about it. At least we know Trump is dedicated to that. Trump been dedicated to that, and that was a main talking point of his campaign is fixing this immigration problem. We ain't fixed the immigration problem. Now it's the main problem.
It's kind of funny how Kamala and the Biden administration created the immigration issue that we see plaguing, you know, some of our more metropolis cities. And, you know, she's really campaigning on the fact that she's going to get in there and fix it. How you gonna tell me? It's like you made the mess. Now you telling me, well, give me some money.
As you know, it's so crazy when they say Trump, he used like $8 trillion. At least he gave it to the people. At least Trump gave $8 trillion to the people. These niggas giving billions. I'm sorry, excuse my language, but these people are giving billions to foreigners. Bro, money that don't benefit us. They're giving billions. So Trump gave $8 trillion to the people. And you're equating that to this government right now, sending hundreds of billions of dollars to foreigners, to Ukraine, to Israel. Y'all really comparing that? You hear yourself.
Biden administration just admitted they were starting to drill. They were going to go back to fracking just to offset some of this inflation because they see the value in it. So as much as they were admonishing Trump for doing so, what policy did they end up adapting them damn selves? It's like I said, Kamala and Biden keep scratching out Trump's name and writing they shit in, hoping nobody won't notice.
No tax on tips.
Bro.
No fracking.
Bro.
No, we're going to start fracking now. It's like, come on. Bro, she's plagiarizing policies? Where they do that at? Well, apparently on the Democratic side.
And we don't claim to be political pundits or economists.
Because, bro, we just sat here and pretty much said that. I ain't gonna lie, RFK would have been a great option. I ain't gonna lie. If he was a viable option, he'd have probably had us. I ain't gonna cap. He'd probably had us. We wouldn't have thought he was bought because we knew how much Biden is bought.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, y'all think, bro, come on now. This dude has bent the knee to Ukraine plenty of times. He bent the knee to Israel, which is our greatest ally, apparently. But, you know, hey, how much money we sent them compared to how much they sent us, you'd be very surprised of that ratio.
What's up, Gito?
Like, man. And in Ukraine, come on, man. Just let Putin have it, bro. Come on. We sent $60 billion to them. To them, not us. Now, if Biden wants to put all that money on us, y'all have had a good point. Because I'd have been like, damn, Trump, it took you $8 trillion to get the people right, but Biden did it with less? Yeah. I'd have gave y'all that argument. But no, he took hundreds of billions of dollars and sent it overseas, and it did nothing for us but bring our dollar down.
Sent our tax-paying dollars away, and what we get from it?
You cannot.
But a decreasing value, a decreasing dollar, which is worth half of what it should be, right? Like, and I know we all feel that pain, and it reflects when we go to the grocery store and we go to the pumps and we paying all this money, all this extra cash.
And look, if y'all want y'all questions to be read, because look at y'all coming in a mile a minute, okay? If you want it to be read, just send $1 super chatter up. That's all you got to do, and we got you. And we'll even make a short out of it too for you. We'll even give you special attention. So that's on you. That's on you that we're not reacting. Go ahead and send a super chat in, dollar up, if you care that much. We got about 128 of y'all in here. If you really care that much about your opinion, go ahead and let it off, G. Other than that, just, quit with the Twitter fingers. You'll be okay. Let us cook up some truth for y'all. But, yeah. Bro, on the whole Ukraine point, everybody think it's Putin bad. No, it's our bad. We crossed, bro. He's acting accordingly. And, we're getting mad about that. It's that's the most asinine thing ever. Once we realize that, hey, yo, we're in the wrong, we need to stop this war and just let Putin do what he want to do. I'm not even saying I agree with Putin's governing or whatever. But when you tell somebody something, I believe in being a man of your word. When you tell somebody something, you go against it, hey, all bets are off. It's a free-for-all at that point then. When you don't follow the rules, when you don't follow the order of things, it is what it is.
That's true.
But, there is argument that, Ukraine's their own sovereign country and all that good stuff. And I'm just like, come on now. Come on. Russia.
Come on now.
Come on now. It's
they're always going to have ties to Russia. Clearly Putin and, his following feel like that land is entitled to Russia. It's kind of one of those conflicts, kind of like, for reference, it's kind of like the Israel-Palestine conflict.
Bro,
and it's just a fight for land, really.
Bro, I promise I respect Ukraine more than y'all. I don't want them to be over here fighting the useless war. Bro, just let them have it. Just let them have it. Putin just going to say, all right, cool. Y'all going to let me have it. They going to stop. The war's over. We'd already put too much money in. We've gained nothing from it. What's the point? And do you even know what they're doing over there? We're literally sending them money so they can buy weapons from us. Bro, look at this. We sending them money that are taxpayers that, we put together for the government to use to help us. They're going to send it over there for them. They're going to send it back to these companies, these military, these weapon companies. And they just, boom, send them more weapons. They buy the weapons for us. We send them more weapons. The money come back to us. It's all one big money laundering scheme that y'all don't seem to see for some reason. It's right in front of your face. Bro, y'all letting these people dance in y'all face. Doing the money dance at that.
Hey, money.
Money.
Sound like Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob.
All in y'all face. Y'all don't even see it.
Crazy as hell.
Oh,
I have to tell you.
Man,
Wow.
y'all hurt my feelings.
I'm offended by the stupidity.
Man, oh God. The stupidity hurt my feelings. But make sure you send a super chat to let us know how you feel. Let me know how you feel in the content, man, because we do appreciate y'all. Even if you don't send a super chat in, make sure you like the video, share the video, man.
Share the screen, man. Double tap that screen. It's easy.
Because, hey, I don't care if you don't even want to vote. Just don't vote for Kamala. Okay? Okay, I'd rather you just not vote than you vote for Kamala. Okay, I'll just say it right now. Okay? If somebody else was going against Trump like RFK, I'd probably be going for RFK. I'll be real with you.
Yeah.
But Trump is the next best option. That's the only reason. If that offends y'all, that I'm thinking for my people and all that, and I'm not just going for a black woman who's actually Hindu, it's like, come on. I'm not stupid. You can't just finesse me with a black face and think I'm going to dance along with it.
You can't pull the wool over my eyes.
What the hell, man?
Not while I'm awake.
Bro, she ain't no Obama.
Come on.
She can't even talk like Obama.
Talking about the first black president. What?
Man,
the disrespect. I know Obama over here just well, damn, what am I, chopped liver?
Wait, nah, this is going to be the first woman president.
The first black woman president, right?
Nah, they going for the woman part.
Ah, okay.
Come on, Obama still got the black.
They're going to let Obama have that then.
Yeah, come on.
All right, respect. As he should. He deserved it.
Even though he caused a whole bunch of bombings and all that good stuff,
Oh,
he was still the first black president.
For sure.
Even though he effed up
mass
a whole bunch
deportation.
And he fucked up a whole bunch of Arab countries just for the oil. That's why our oil price was so low when Obama was in office.
Yeah, you gotta love it.
At least he did it for us, though, right?
Everybody's favorite uncle, man. I'm telling you. He was cool because what? He was cool with the NBA players?
Man.
Gotta love him. Gotta love them. But yeah.
Man. But hey, what you mean? If the algorithm got us toasted, we'd have 156 of y'all watching. You ain't think about that.
Right. There's really no other live right now that's doing as much numbers as us in the vertical. So scroll around and see. We've had over 200 people in here. We're winding down the show right now, clearly. So it is what it is, man.
Hey, man, but
We appreciate y'all tuning in, man. Either side you on, hater, lover, supporter, doesn't matter.
Man, it really don't. But we do appreciate the supporters, though. So, hey, though, any closing thoughts for y'all in the chat, man? Make sure you send a super chat right in. We'll go ahead and keep the keep the show going if y'all want to, man. Y'all pretty much gonna pay for the length of this. If not, I think we can head on out. It's been pretty fun, man. I enjoy y'all kicking in with us. Make sure to like and subscribe.
I'm tired. Yeah, it's been quite the past 48 hours, man. Channel has done tremendous numbers.
Oh, yeah, and go check out the Toxic Talk. You know, we did a podcast with the girls and all that, so we had some girls on.
Niggas are working full-time jobs. We over here working 10, 12-hour shifts and coming and doing this shit with y'all, man. You don't think I'm tired of debating y'all niggas in the chat?
Man, 6 hours with y'all, man. You know, we do it because we like y'all. Come on, man.
We only 20 subscribers off from 2,900.
African-American. I'm fucking... Why y'all in the chat be so too... Bro, they be too funny, bro. I promise you. African-American, bro. It's the craziest thing ever. Oh, my God. Okay. But we do appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. We definitely do, man. Here's St. Key Media. All right, man.
We're going to tune out on this one, man. Make sure to follow, subscribe.
Man, make sure to subscribe to the channel, man.
Keep those notifications on, man, because we go live every day.
Yep,
multiple times a day. If it's not me, if it's not Set, if it's not both of us, man. A lot of things in the works coming for y'all. Channel has been doing great, surging tremendously. Appreciate the support.
Yep. The female podcast coming soon. You know, this is a media. Man. We a media company, man. It's a real platform, bro. Don't worry, man. We're going to have some female co-hosts for y'all. We're going to have some female shows for y'all. And then we also, of course, going to have our political talks, our dating talks, and our celebrity talks, man. This, bro,
19 subscribers off from 2,900.
Bro, one-stop shop reaction channel, man. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. This is S.E.T Key Media. We are out.